Chinese New Year is just around the corner and it would not be complete without dumplings. These dumplings are super juicy and flavorful on the inside with a crispy skin on the outside and dipped in the soy vinegar sauce. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I can eat a whole batch by myself, but I won't. Hey everyone, I'm Flo. Dude is behind the camera and we're all about simple food, simple faith. Dumplings are one of those things that are just super easy to have on hand and to make for lunch. Our kids really enjoyed having a hot lunch for school. So if I didn't have leftovers from the night before, in the mornings, I would just make them dumplings and put them in their thermos and then they have a hot lunch. So really simple, but it's even better when you make it yourself. We're using about a pound of ground chicken. I just bought this at the store. You can chop it up yourself or grind it yourself. It's totally up to you. And I have about 6 ounces, 200 grams worth of Napa cabbage, and it's about a quarter of a whole Napa cabbage. Just gonna chop off the bottom stemmy area, and we're just gonna chop this finely and add it to the chicken. Okay, and you wanna chop it up some more, like don't just leave it in little strands. You want them to be little bits. So just keep going until you get it to a texture that you like. And that's what I like about recipes, is that you can do whatever you want. If you like them in strands in your dumpling, leave them as strands. I like them in little bits, so I'm just gonna chop it up into little bits. And that's like any ingredients that you use. If there are ingredients that I'm using that you don't like, then don't put them in there. It's just gonna make it unpleasant for you. And if you like something that I haven't used, then by all means, put it in. I have a pork dumpling and a vegetable dumpling on my channel, as well as in my cookbook, and they're different. But you'll see that a lot of different ingredients will work for dumplings. And I'm using 2 stalks of green onion. Cut them in half and then chop them up. And the reason why I talk about the different texture of however you want to chop things up makes a difference. It's all about the mouthfeel. Like for example, I don't like to eat strands of green onion like this, even though in some of my recipes I do use it, but I end up picking them out because I just like the look of them in there and I love the flavor of it, but I don't necessarily want to be eating the green onion, but that's fine because Dude will eat them. But I don't mind them like this, and I actually, prefer them chopped up like this because it makes a huge difference when you're chewing, when you're experiencing texture and mouthfeel. Makes a huge difference. I'm using about a thumb-sized piece of ginger. It's going to give you about a tablespoon of grated ginger. I'm just going to grate it on top of my green onions because all of this is just going to go into the mix together.
Finally, an accurately sized thumb-sized piece of ginger.
Okay, we're using 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. And if you don't have oyster sauce or you're allergic to oyster sauce, just double the soy sauce. 1 tablespoon of rice wine. And I'm just using regular rice wine. You can use Shaoxing wine, which is also a rice wine, but it's dark and it's just a different flavor. One tablespoon of sesame oil. 1 teaspoon of brown sugar and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. And we're just going to stir this in one direction and get all of the marinade in there. Which I have to say, chicken is easier to stir than pork. If you're wondering why in one direction, well, my mom used to tell me that you have to stir in one direction, otherwise you'll undo everything, which makes absolutely no sense to me. But I think it has something to do with making sure that you're stirring just enough, creating these strands of meat when it gets stickier as you go. I don't know if you can tell. It's more like a paste now, and that's what you want. Now we're adding all of the ingredients that we chopped up. The Napa cabbage. And the green onion and ginger. Okay, and we're going to keep stirring until everything is incorporated, and again, that it looks super pasty. And it's going to take about 3 to 5 minutes of constant stirring.
Are you sure you're going in the same direction?
I am.
1 minute later.
It's been more than a minute, but my hand is getting super tired by holding on to these chopsticks and mixing in one direction. Anyways, I think this is the right texture. I think it's been about probably close to 3 minutes. So you can see that as I mix, that strands are beginning to form on the chicken. Can you see that? So that is the texture that you want. And then that's it. That's your inside of your dumplings. Pretty easy, right? Dumpling wrappers usually come in a 2-pack like this. And they are always round. Round for dumplings, square for wontons. All right, so with your dumpling wrappers, you want to make sure that you keep them covered so that they don't dry out while you're wrapping them up. So as you take one, just make sure you take one at a time and then put your cloth over it again. We're using about 1 to 2 teaspoons of filling. Going to wet the whole entire edge with, I just have a little bowl of water here. And we're going to fold it in half, making sure that the filling stays inside. And you can either just seal it like this, which makes it super easy. Set it aside. Just, make sure you pinch it so that the filling won't escape when you cook it. Another way to seal your dumpling to make sure that it stays sealed is pleating it. And I'll show you how to do that. So you just want to put your thumb there and then just start pleating the wrapper, kind of making sure that the filling stays inside. And it looks pretty too. Stay in there. Then just make sure that you pinch it all up so the filling doesn't escape. And that will look like what you normally see in the restaurants. Making dumplings is something fun that you can do in a group with your friends and family. And when we can start gathering socially again, maybe it's something that you can consider doing, having a dumpling party. We are using a cast iron pan. You can use a non-stick pan if you don't have a cast iron one. And we're going to heat this up on medium. Okay, I added a tablespoon of vegetable oil. Let that heat up a little bit more. All right, we're going to add the dumplings with the flat side down. I'm just going to make 12 at a time. If your pan can fit more, you can do more. Once you've added the dumplings, turn your heat down to medium-low and let them cook for 2 minutes. We're adding a 1/4 cup of room temperature water. And we're going to cover with the lid. And we're going to let them cook for about 5 minutes. Okay. You want all the water to be evaporated, and I just spilled some more water in there. So we'll just let that cook until all the water is gone. All right, look at how crispy and yummy that is. Okay, we turned off the heat, and if they're cooked properly, they're just going to slide right off. They won't stick to your pan. Often with Chinese dumplings, they are served with a vinegar, a black vinegar called the Qinkiang vinegar. And it's got a very pungent, vinegary flavor, which Dude really likes. But I'm just going to show you how to make a simple dipping sauce for it if you don't like this vinegar. Starting off with 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. Four tablespoons of rice vinegar. And 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. I'm going to stir this up, making sure that the brown sugar is dissolved. Once the sugar is dissolved, you can just spoon it into an individual dipping sauce dish. And you can be quite liberal with this. There you go, Dude. Are you all ready for?
Yes.
The taste. It is almost that time of Chinese New Year, and there are good eats to be had. Even though we can't gather like we used to right now, we can still make all those things at home, right? And enjoy it with your bubble, your family. Chicken dumplings. Flo usually does the pork dumplings. I'm doing the chicken today. But hey, I'm an equal opportunity protein eater. Let's get into the sauce. Usually I like the straight up Qinkiang vinegar because, as Flo mentioned, I like it really bold tasting, and I like it, the food really dipped in there. Here it goes. Wow. Mouthfeel heaven. And this is where that mid bite where I go in for a double dip. And the advantage of having an individual dipping dish is that you can get in there and not worry about passing on your germs. I'm just gonna go in for that second bite, finish it off. It's good. I mean, I can keep going and going and going until it's all gone.
Thanks, Dude.
Yep.
If you don't want to pan fry these dumplings, you can certainly boil them as well. Just bring a pot of water to boil and drop them in there. Once they float to the top, cook them for about 5 minutes and then they're done. Easy peasy. My pork and vegetable dumplings are in the new cookbook, Chinese Home Style. So please check it out. And if you get it on Amazon, please leave us a review. And for more videos just like this one, check it out and I will see you over there.